Good morning, everyone. For Telesur, I'm Cody Weddle in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin in Turkey, where protests continued on Thursday. At least 6 more people died overnight in the clashes, bringing the total death toll to over 30. It follows demands by Turkish Kurds that their government allow help to reach Syrian Kurds in the border town of Kobani. Their proposal is to establish an aid corridor to supply the Kurdish fighters with weapons. Turkey opposes any measures that strengthen Kurdish autonomy. Meanwhile, in the border town of Kobani, the Islamic State continues to make advances. That's despite stepped-up U.S. airstrikes. Over a third of the town is now controlled by the extremist group. Turkish tanks stationed nearby on the border have reportedly done little to stop Islamic State fighters. Hundreds of elderly residents remain trapped. The UN envoy for Syria called early Friday for Turkey to allow volunteers across the Syrian border to fight Islamic State. To Latin America now, where in Venezuela a new video has surfaced revealing destabilization plots by right-wing extremists. This is the 5th such video and shows young extremist Laurent Saleh plotting with the Venezuelan opposition. Previous videos showed him plotting violent attacks and revealed his links with former Colombian President Álvaro Uribe. In this video, Saleh speaks about his relationship with opposition leader Marina Corina Machado. He reveals that Machado's press officer was working closely with Saleh's Operation Liberty movement and that the politician had requested his support. In Britain, over 30 members of parliament, politicians, NGOs, and social movement leaders have expressed their condolences following the murder of Venezuelan Congressman Robert Serra. In an open letter published in the Guardian newspaper, they expressed their concern over right-wing political violence in Venezuela. The group writes, quote, "Worryingly, Serra's murder joins the list of other assassinations of government figures, and the situation resembles the prelude of the overthrow of Salvador Allende in Chile, when sections of the Chilean opposition did not distance themselves from violent actions, including the assassination of a general," end quote. Ahead of Sunday's presidential elections in Bolivia, the country's vice president, Alvaro Garcia Linera, spoke with Telesur. Garcia Linera says that after impressive social investments, the Bolivian government has significantly reduced poverty in the country.
Reducir los niveles de extrema pobreza y de pobreza a niveles.
We reduced the levels of poverty and extreme poverty to the region's average. We took over a country that had 39% extreme poverty. Not poverty, but extreme poverty, and poverty altogether reached 60%. Extreme poverty has been reduced in 7 years from 39% to 18%. Our goal is to reduce it to 2% by 2025. And overall poverty has been reduced from 60% to 38%. We want to reach a 15% poverty rate. That's the goal by the time of our independence bicentenary. We want to celebrate the foundation of our motherland by Bolívar for the indigenous people by delivering a dignified country where no one goes to bed hungry.
Entregando un país digno que no tiene personas que van a dormir.
And to Brazil, the latest poll ahead of the presidential runoff shows that current President Dilma Rousseff and her right-wing opponent Aécio Neves are at a statistical tie. Attacks against Rousseff have intensified after last week's elections. Neves is trying to build a broad right-wing alliance against Rousseff, gathering pro-business and conservative forces. And we go to Mexico, where relatives and activists are calling for an independent investigation over the disappearance of 43 students who were attacked by the police. For the latest, we go to our correspondent in Mexico.
Mates and family of the 43 disappeared Ayotzinapa students announced the formation of an independent civil commission to oversee the state's investigation after authorities failed to show up for talks.
The commission is going to be involved by participating in various meetings with the federal and state governments that will report to the commission regarding the case. As the colleagues from Ayotzinapa have said, the problem has been about coordination between the different state entities.
Ayotzinapa student representatives expressed distrust over how the authorities have acted in the case, demanding that the government should assume its responsibility.
It seems like federal and state governments, as well as political parties, are taking advantage of this situation. They're pointing the finger of responsibility at each other. We make the point here in front of the press that this is a problem of the state.
Experts echo their concerns, denying that the case of Ayotzinapa is isolated and that rather it represents a systematic feature of how the state's security apparatus functions.
Over the past 2 years of President Peña Nieto, the DNA of the Mexican system has been that of violence. It uses forms such as systematic torture, mass extrajudicial killings, and the forced disappearances of people.
While students and family of the disappeared continue to demand the return alive of the 43 missing, 4 new mass graves are discovered in the outskirts of Iguala, where the pupils disappeared on September 26th. Clayton Kahn, Telesur, Mexico City.
And thanks to Clayton. We go to United States and St. Louis, Missouri. Protests continued Thursday for the second straight night following the shooting of Vanderrit Myers, an African-American teenager shot dead by a white off-duty policeman. Over 200 people were dispersed by police in the area where Myers was shot and killed. The crime took place just miles from the recent police shooting of Michael Brown. A planned weekend of resistance against police violence will focus on both cases. And in West Africa, the countries most affected by Ebola urged the international community on Thursday to increase assistance to fight the virus. The outbreak has now killed nearly 4,000 people. The leaders of protests claim that the international response has been much slower than needed. Tackling Ebola is expected to be discussed on Friday during the United Nations General Assembly. The UN General Secretary has emphasized the need to ratchet up the support.
Cases are growing exponentially. We need at least, as I said, 20-fold surge in assistance. Mobile laboratories, vehicles, helicopters, protective equipment, trained medical personnel, and medevac capabilities. We must work together to provide the best standard of care for each individual. Things will get worse before they get better. How much worse depends on us, the international community. So to all who have pledged, I say today, please deliver now. And for those who have yet to pledge, I say today, please do so soon. That's my urgent appeal. This is an unforgiving disease.
And we end this Friday on a cultural note. A new documentary film based on the life of Muhammad Ali is set to be released Friday night. The documentary film features never-before-heard recordings given to the producers by the boxer's family. It features the boxer's sporting achievements, but also his political and world beliefs. Ali was a prominent opponent of the Vietnam War and an advocate for civil rights. He worked closely with figures such as Malcolm X.
I remember the moment I fell in love with him when he was could make me cry.
What's your dad's name?
Muhammad Ali.
He would always tell me time is going to fly.
Plenty more on those stories and others at our website, telesurtv.net/English. For Telesur English, I'm Cody Weddle. Hope you have a great Friday.